Hey. Good afternoon, everybody on the Reno Prestige YouTube channel. Just wanted to touch base. Haven't been on here in a while. Haven't posted any type of political commentary in a while. So I wanted to take some time out on this July 15th to just post a little bit, give my little bit of political commentary from the House of Prestige LLC as we prepare for the next steps in our activism in partnership with the PHMC organization, Public Health Management Corporation, here in Philadelphia, as well as other agencies, the Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disabilities, the Women in Transition, newly developed relationship with Women in Transition Incorporated. Of course, Why Not Prosper, where I got my start, and Southwest New Stop, and the Nicetown Community Development Center. So I mentioned these organizations, and I mentioned the relationship that we have, and the fact that I haven't had the time to address people or address the community and the public on social media, because again, I am only one person and I can't stress myself that far to be, have a social media presence as well as a physical presence when it's required. So forgive me for the delay in posting any type of commentary online and interacting with the community via social media. Honestly, I prefer to do my activism physically and up front and on the front lines. And there are so many other activists who can only, voice their opinions via social media. So you can get an opportunity to listen to those guys as they do their work in the fashion that they choose. I'm touching base with you tonight because in the face of, and there has been so much political turmoil as far as on a national level with President Trump and his just out and out blatant disregard for any of the values that we hold near in this country. It's really just a shame that he continues to lower the bar on human decency, and he continues to lower the bar as far as his personal character is concerned. But it's his personal character. And the fact of the matter is that white nationalist parties and white nationalist groups and white nationalist people do exist. And that's just it. But despite the fact that he's a racist, he's an out-and-out racist, he's a misogynist, he hates women, at least he acts like he hates women, and he's a coward, in my opinion. But aside the fact from that, there are good white people too. Like, Donald Trump does not represent all white people. He just doesn't. And even during you talk about Make America Great Again, even during the times of the height of racial divide for this country during slavery times, there were white people that were abolitionists as well. So we cannot, and I'm asking my community, people of black and brown descent, we cannot subjugate all white people to the judgment and the actions that have been going on and represented by President Trump and his base. We can't do that. You can't just erase all of the goodness that has been and inclusion and the fight for rights and the risk and the loss of life that many white people or many Caucasian people have faced in their own decisions to fight for equality for all of us. So please don't just go out and generalize Caucasians and people of the lighter persuasion that they're all a bunch of hypocritical racist behinds like Donald Trump is. I mean, there's just no You just can't do that. That's like saying that all of us people of black and brown descent are exactly what they're calling us. Like he's had his exposure to whatever he feels is a representation of black and brown communities, and that's his experience, and that's his irrational fear, because that's what racism is. It's an irrational fear of other races, and he is irrational, and so we don't have to continue to criticize and overgeneralize an entire race based on the actions of a few. And the same thing goes for us. We don't want them to criticize us and generalize us on the basis and the actions of a few. The pendulum swings both ways. When it comes to this racism and this racial equality issue, the pendulum swings both ways. And at some point, we have to take things into our own hands. And when I mean we, I mean United States citizens that have the right to vote, that have the freedom to go in, 18 years of older, to go in, register to vote, and vote. This is the only way that we can take back this country and put some people with some sense in the White House. The only reason why Donald Trump is in the White House now is because of our inactivity. That's the only reason. Had we all showed up in full force and demonstrated our discourse towards him through the ballot box, we would not have the issues and the problems that we are dealing with today. At least not on the scale and the magnitude that we're dealing with it. Now, we talk about prejudice. It's not just a racial fight that's going on right now. And it's not just a racial fight that's been going on for decades. I'm talking about now, bringing things closer to home, the fight for trans inclusion and equality, the fight for LGBT inclusion and rights. The year is the year 2019. And since 1997, when I first entered the fight for gender equality and social justice, there have been doors closed in our faces. There have been people and legislatures and lawmakers and gatekeepers and stakeholders who don't want to include the LGBT community in the human race. They want to exclude us because of who we sleep with and how we identify. And that is a form of discrimination and prejudice that we've been fighting for decades as well. Not as long as the racial thing, no. But, well, I can't even say that. But this fight against gender equality and is biblical. So I'm not even in a point where I have the brain power to recollect anything right now, because it's just so much. I feel overwhelmed and bombarded with all of this nonsense and this division that our country is in the middle of right now. We are in a tumultuous situation, this turmoil going on, not just between the races, between the genders, and God is upset. And the reason why God is upset, because you see the natural disasters that are going on across the world. And it's hitting the United States, and it's going to continue. And I mean that natural disasters with the tornadoes that have come from overseas and now making its way to Louisiana. And I just want to let you know something. We have to be prepared for all of this stuff. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It's going to get worse before it gets better. And this what I'm telling you right now is very simply a biblical prophecy that's coming to fruition. And I'm not saying that to scare anybody, but it's just a reality of the current situation and the current state of our minds, our hearts, and our spirits. And the question is, and has always been, what are you as an individual going to do about it? What can you do about it? Because we sit and here in Philadelphia, we complain about so many things and how bad it is and things like that. But things have escalated because good people didn't do anything. The only way that evil can prevail is if good people do nothing. And that's the case with anything. I'm going to take it from right here to us and then expand it nationally so you all can get an understanding of what I'm talking about. Police brutality, crime, and all of that wouldn't have happened if we didn't let it. If we fought against it, if we stood up against it from the onset, from the beginning, it wouldn't have escalated to the point where it is now, to where people are comfortable thinking that they can brutalize us and terrorize us in the name of the law. Had we taken an interest in creating our own police force and manning our own communities, then we would have these other races coming in trying to tell us how to live and how to interact with each other in our communities. We wouldn't be fighting for scraps and crumbs. Had we put an effort to our education and bettering our community and bettering our children's chances of not only survival, but actually getting ahead and living, we wouldn't have to fight for these scraps and crumbs that, we're fighting for and we're so upset about. Had we done more, we wouldn't be in this position. But that's and that's just on the city level. Had we gotten involved with politics, we wouldn't have these Philadelphia lawmakers fucking us in the ass all the time. And excuse me for, that graphic metaphor, but that's really the truth of what's going on. Had we gotten more involved and had more people stood up and stood for something, we wouldn't have these pushover politicians running our city and selling us out every nook and cranny. We wouldn't have that. We wouldn't have Jim Kenney selling off Philadelphia piece by piece to the highest bidder. We wouldn't have that. Had we done what we were supposed to do, we would not have these elected officials, these crooked elected officials that many of us don't even use our right to vote to get these people in. And because we don't participate in what our ancestors have died for, which is the right to vote, which is the right to have a voice, which is a right to be represented, had we participated in that consistently, we would not have a crooked legislature. We would not have these crooked majority people in the White House and running the states and running the nation. We wouldn't have it had we all participated. So the question is now that we are at the brink of destruction, which I call destruction based on how we are interacting with each other on a humane or inhumane, level, but how we relate to one another is divisive. What we think about each other is divisive. Our leaders are not leaders but followers, because they are cowards, and that's on every branch. I see the people that are standing up, and you see them too. But the majority are cowards, and that's why things are happening the way that they're happening. Nancy Pelosi can't do everything by herself. Omar Ocasio and the rest of the four ladies that Trump just attacked, they can't do it all by themselves. City council can't do it all by itself. The police department can't do it all by themselves. Like, we have to step up as individuals and as citizens and as learned people and protect our own community and our own children and our own selves. So we cannot place the blame on somebody else. Oh, they need to do something. Oh, it shouldn't be that way. Oh, they did. Oh, they did. No. The answer is, what did I do? What have you done? What are we doing to better the situation? That's what we need to be discussing. That's what we need to talk about. I just really don't understand why we're not talking about it. I really don't understand. We can have all of these rallies and all of these non-violent rallies and all of that, but we're not doing anything about it but letting the camera see that people are non-violent. Why aren't we showing up to these town hall meetings? Why aren't we gathering at the recreation centers when they have these town halls? And why aren't we at these organizations who are trying to put something together? Several times, I know personally, several times we've called for unity in the community, and our community hasn't shown up. We've called for unity in the community, and the community paid it no mind. And the only time we can get a good turnout at the community event is if we're giving away something for free. That's not fair. That's not fair. That's not fair to the people who are working extremely hard to try to uplift our community. And it's like we are carrying the mountain on our backs without the help of the very community that we are trying to advocate for. It's quite difficult, as a matter of fact. It's quite difficult. And to be completely honest, 100% transparency, I'm kind of like, why? What are we doing this for? What are we breaking our backs for? If our community isn't going to even, my grandmother used to say, you can't get a job at a pie factory. If our community is not going to engage one iota in helping itself to come out of the degradation that we're in, why are the people who's supposed to represent our community and supposed to service our community, why are we busting our ass so hard to try to get the things that the community itself doesn't even want? It doesn't seem like it because of the lack of action. So I don't know. I mean, I for one am grateful for the position that I've been able, my higher power has been able to elevate me to, whereas I am able to get involved and choose the things that I want to get involved in. I'm able to choose. I have a choice. And that to me means everything. I have freedom and I have a choice. And I can say what I want. That's one of my rights as a citizen of this country. I can live and express myself the way that I want. That's one of my rights as a citizen of this country. And if my being is attacked on some level, I can choose to fight. I can choose to stand my ground. That is my right as a citizen of this country. Something that I probably would not have if I lived in another country. So yes, even though this country is unfairly treating me and my people, it's still the only country in the world where I am free to do anything that I want to do, to be any way that I want to be, to love anyone that I want to love, without the penalty of death just for those reasons. So as bad as this country is, and as many messed up things, and as many things that we have to work on and continue to work on and continue to build and continue to grow and continue to evolve, it is the best country still in the world. But you wouldn't know that if you've never been outside the country. You wouldn't know that. That's like if you've been in your 4 blocks, and I know people who have spent their entire lives in a 4-block radius, have never been downtown, 55, 65 years old, have never traveled to Center City, have never traveled from North Philly to the Northeast, have never been outside of the Strawberry Mansion community, have never been to West Oak Lane, don't know what Fox Chase looked like, can't even get to Burnham, don't know. It's like a whole new world. So if you are in your 4-block radius and you don't know nothing about the other parts of the city of Philadelphia, how can I even imagine you or expect you to know anything about other continents, other countries in this world, and how other people and other cultures are seen and treated? To know that where we are right now, as messed up as it is the best. But it's not going to be the best if we don't fight for it. It's just like our neighborhoods. If we don't fight for them, somebody else who sees value is going to come in and take it away from us. We're not going to fight because we don't know the value and we don't care. That's where the saying comes in, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And where do you think you're going to go? Everybody's talking about how bad gentrification is and they moving people out of the neighborhoods. The neighborhoods are dilapidated because the people that live in the neighborhoods don't care about the neighborhoods. The people that live in the neighborhoods have given up hope. The people that live in the neighborhoods are entrenched in the cycle of degradation, and they like it. It seems to be that they like it because they won't make any type of effort to change it. So we got to take a look. We got to do some real soul searching, right? We got to take a real personal inventory like they teach us in the rooms. We got to take a real personal inventory of what part did we play in the situation that we happen to be in right now as a race. What part did we play? And if we haven't played a part until now, what part will we play? What part do we intend on playing? Are we going to continue on with things the way they are right now? Or are we going to do something to change and make things better? If not for me right now, for the generation coming after me. Do we even care about our children? Do we even care about the next generation that's coming up? Are they going to be able to compete with the Asians and the Indians and the Caucasians that are coming up and, just killing academics and changing the game? Are they going to be able to compete? Can we? Do we even have the motivation to point them in the right direction? Do we even know what the right direction is to make sure that our kids have a pathway to success? These are the things that we think about. When I say we, I mean those of us who are advocates and who fight for the community each and every day. It's a part of my life. It's my living. It's what I do for a living. I fight for other people. It's what I do for a living. I got in the game in 97. It's 2019, and we are still fighting. We are still fighting for inclusion. And when I say we, I'm talking about the LGBT community. We're still fighting for inclusion. They've given us the resources. They've hired us to do some things. They said go ahead and do the research. But when it comes to actually starting, they put another pump the brakes. Wait a minute, wait, not yet. We got resistance from such and such an agency, or well, we can't do that until we do this, or well, we don't want to move too fast and we don't want to put this out there. Or there's all kinds of bureaucratic loopholes and hoops that you got to jump through, and all kind of regulations and made up extra things that's going to deter us. They're called social deterrents, and there's plenty of social deterrents. Hanneman Hospital is closing down. Where are we going to send the people that's in there? Welfare is getting cut off August the 1st, as a matter of fact. So those who have general assistance and don't have any dependents are going to be cut off of welfare on August the 1st, 2019. And those who do are still allowed to receive or still eligible to receive SNAP benefits. Those SNAP benefits will no longer be monetary or on a business card. A Visa card. Those SNAP benefits are going to be in a box. That's the plan that Republicans have in order. And they are breaking down our system one by one. Social Security, 1936, it was created. It's about to be cut. It's about to be done. It's about to be done. Even the right to vote, as you can see, they tampering with it. But the right to vote for African American people was only temporary. And they keep amending it and amending it. So what happens when they don't amend it anymore? Then black people are not going to have the right to vote. Listen, these things are actually possible. These things can actually come true. This could be the worst thing that could probably happen to us. But we have to stand up. Because there's nobody, if you haven't noticed by now, nobody is going to do anything for us. We have to take matters into our own hands. And these are the teachings of Malcolm X, Nat Turner. We got to take it into our own hands. But we also have to take the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King. And we have to do it smart. We can't do it forcefully. We'll never win that way. We'll never win that way. We don't bring guns into this country. We don't bring drugs into this country. We're at the bottom of the totem pole. They ain't going to let us have that kind of power. So don't think that you're going to get rich off of hustling on the corner, because it ain't meant for you to go that way. What you're going to do is you're going to be a victim of the crab in the bucket syndrome, and somebody's going to kill you to make sure that you don't get out before they do. And that's what we see happening in our communities today. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking to y'all like this because I'm simply worn out. I'm tired. And I'm discouraged. I'm discouraged because I really question whether or not we have it in us amongst ourselves, black and brown citizens of this city, this country, this nation, if we have it within ourselves to stop hurting ourselves, come together, and rise. And rise. I don't know. But I'm going to keep fighting even though I don't know. Because fighting at least is what I can do for my daughter and my future grandkids and the rest of my family. And also, I fight because my grandfather fought. My grandmothers fought. My aunts fought. My uncles fought. And for those of us that are still fighting now. So I'm going to stand up and be counted. You're going to know that Reno Prestige did the best that he could to change our community for the better. Can you say the same? That's the question. You have to answer that yourself. Can you say the same? And if you have not, and if you cannot say the same, now's the time to make a change. You got to be the change that you want to see in this world. Are you man enough or woman enough to stand up and be that? Are you strong enough? Are you black enough? Are you intelligent enough? Do you have heart enough? Are you courageous enough to stand up and fight for who you are and what you believe in? This is the true mark of legacy. This is the true mark of courage. This is the true mark of history, of manhood and womanhood, of humanhood. And I hope that I've said something today that can motivate you to join me. I pray for the safety of us all and let God's will be done. Peace.